Welcome to video 3B on present value. As mentioned on the Blackboard site, if you lack an understanding of basic time value of money concepts, you may want to watch the Khan Academy videos posted in the Blackboard site. This video deviates from the topic of taxes a little bit as we focus on the finance fundamentals necessary to move forward in tax planning. But hey, at least it's a short one. Given that you have to pay the tax, would you rather pay it today or 5 years from now? Aside from maybe not having the money today, which is a different issue altogether, and of course why we have ability to pay as part of our good tax regime, I digress. Most of us understand that $1 today is not worth $1 in the future. What? What did I just say? $1's not worth $1? That's crazy. $1's always worth $1. But $1 today can buy a completely different set of goods and services than $1 in the future might be able to buy. That's the notion of present value, and why the present value of $1 in the future is actually generally worth less than $1 in my pocket right now. You can certainly see how the purchasing power of $1 changes over time by comparing the cost of, let's say, a home or a car between the years of 75 and 2015. Can you imagine buying a new car for only $3,800? How about a gallon of gas for 59 cents? Positive inflation rates cause the purchasing power of currency to go down over time. Given that is the case, I'd almost always rather pay my tax debts with future dollars than today's dollars. Today's dollars are worth more. In almost all cases, we would prefer our cash inflows to be larger and our cash outflows to be smaller. And if this is a concept you can't agree with, I have some swampland in southern Florida I'd like to sell you. And by the way, it's in Lake County, not Osceola. I'm sorry, I'm digressing again. I apologize. Given that inflation has been positive more or less since the beginning of time, we would generally prefer our inflows today and our outflows in the future. And recall that our after-tax flows are a function of pre-tax cash flows minus tax. Okay, let's watch the time value of money have an impact on taxes. I received my property tax bill late in the calendar year. Property taxes are deductible, even though they're limited now, and I'm a cash basis taxpayer, so the timing of when I pay that bill will affect the year in which I take the deduction. If I pay it this year on December 31st, I deduct it this year. If I pay it next year on January 2nd, because I'm taking the first off to watch football and recover, I deduct it next year. Because the bill arrived late in the year, by simply deferring its payment by a day or two over the year end, I can change an entire year of tax liability. And yeah, this can really happen. Okay, so a $100 deduction generates tax savings of $30. So the net after-tax cost is $70. If I pay it today, it's $70. If I pay it next year, it's $70. Or is it? We need to consider the present value of the tax savings generated in option 2, pay next year. I'm not going to benefit from that tax deduction until next year, and thus I'm not going to lower my tax liability for a whole year if I just wait a couple of days. Thus, the present value of that $30 of tax savings is not $30 in today's dollars. It's actually only $28.57, assuming a discount rate of 5%. As a result, the after-tax cash flow is $71.43, and since I always prefer smaller cash outflows, I'm going to go ahead and pay it today with the $70. And that's how the time value of money can affect taxes. Now, there were a couple really important assumptions we made. The first is, of course, the discount rate. We never really know what that is, but it's almost always a positive amount, and so the conclusion's unlikely to change, maybe just the amount. The second is the assumption that tax rates will not change. That is not something we can guarantee most of the time. Thus, the certainty that we spoke about when we discussed the good characteristics of a tax is so important for tax planning. If the tax rate, for example, changes to 35% next year, then suddenly the tax savings generated from the deduction is 35 next year, not 30 as we had expected. Well, now the present value of the tax savings is 33, and so we should have deferred that deduction by paying it next year. Typically, we use the marginal tax rate when preparing these types of forecasts. But bear in mind, we also know that big swings in income warrant caution and perhaps a more accurate marginal tax rate calculation. Okay, that's it for present value and taxes. We're going to use these concepts further as we work through tax planning, definitely including the timing variable, which we're going to visit in the next video. So be sure and get a complete understanding of this concept before moving too far along. Thanks for watching.
We found a whole bunch of mistakes on your taxes, Mr. Cupid.
You owe quite a large amount of money. Quite a lot. What are you doing? What is this? Don't. No, Mr. Cupid. I'm a tax auditor. This has no effect on me whatsoever. Is that real gold? Is that necessary? I'm sure that's worth something, and you need every penny you can get.
That one did it! That one did it! No, he didn't! Hey, everybody, look! Hey, kid, you got any more arrows in there? Are you fresh out?
Don't face taxes alone. You've got people. Find your people at hrblock.com.
Oh, wait! It's working!